This winter season was a bit odd in the sense that we had a fairly good run with some enjoyable shows. Out of the ones that I was most excited for, there were several that followed through with the entertainment that they promised. Yu Senki I watched out of the gate every week when I could. I enjoyed Tanya's constant struggles with a world that was against her despite not actually exactly being a likable character.
Lieutenant, you didn't know this was going to happen. You didn't send them there to die, right?
Akka had an extremely slow start, but to my relief, put the pedal to the metal in the second half. And it also gave us one of the most kick-ass intros of the year so far. We also had great shows that I wasn't even paying attention to at the start. Interviews with Monster Girls and Miss Kobayashi being particular highlights for me. But I never got around to Little Witch Academia yet because Netflix just does not understand anime fans. Kemono Friends was an extremely surprising piece of entertainment for me, though I appear to be in the minority, and then Konosuba. Well, it was a thing. Not as good as I was expecting, and this is coming from someone who said that Season 1 was the best anime of 2016. I should have known better. Winter 2017 was actually a pretty good season to kick off the year, in a period where the number of quality shows are few and far between the rest. But enough about the past. We need to start looking towards the future. So, after combing through the charts for this upcoming season, I've gathered together the anime that I am currently the most excited for. And so, ladies, gentlemen, and others, I present my most anticipated anime of spring 2017. Let's jam! Attack on Titan Season 2 and My Hero Academia Season 2. Let's just make this easier on ourselves by combining the two most obvious. I enjoyed both of these first seasons. They were highly popular when they originally came out, and by all accounts, they should be great entries to this season. I fiddled with the idea of not having them on this list because, you know, they're very obvious and popular, but I figured that that would be a disservice. Because I am truly excited for both of them, and I can't wait to not have to block out as many spoilers from people who have read the manga. Now, of course, if you forced me to choose between the two of them as to which I am excited for more, well, I'd have to go for My Hero Academia. Mostly because it's been 4 years since Titan, and my overall excitement for the series has wavered in that time. When it aired, it had that kind of magic to it that felt different and new, but the shock factor that defined the show for me has since worn away. It was a series where death was a constant threat to every character. It had mysteries that were intriguing and a main character who is carried by others despite possessing the stereotypical shonen fighting spirit. Attack on Titan Season 2, I'm approaching with a bit more skepticism than last time. With this new season, to make up for lost time, it really needs to hit home and give us a reason for why we've been waiting for so long. Yet, end in a way that doesn't leave us hanging. And that same rule applies to My Hero Academia as well, but considering the state of the source material, that seems unlikely. Alice to Zoroku. This is a series I'm expecting to fill my slice of life gap for a while, despite, you know, not actually being part of that genre. It's listed as more of an adventure mystery series about a young girl that has the power to materialize things from her imagination. And after escaping from some kind of scientific lab, she runs into an older man who may or may not help her. It's an intriguing premise that I hope ends up actually going somewhere, but we'll see. The reason I was thinking that it might scratch my slice of life itch is because its director, who I know as the director for Kami-sama no Memocho, and more recently Flying Witch from last year, which was a beautiful series, and if you haven't checked it out yet, you should. The downside is that he also directed an anime that I can't remember and probably doesn't exist. So I am slightly skeptical. However, my skepticism is not enough to stop me from being completely excited for Sagrada Reset. A large section of the populace of a small town near the ocean all have magical powers, from being able to enter the minds of cats to the more extreme power of being able to reset time back several days. And the story seems to revolve around two teenagers who have powers that synergize well together. It gives off this weird feeling of craziness in its premise, and anything involving manipulating time is difficult to pull off. But the thing that makes me heavily optimistic is that it's being handled by David Production. Yes, the same David Production behind JoJo.
Oh, shit!
Now, unfortunately, the studio is the only connection to JoJo, and looking at the PV, I doubt that we're going to get anything near that kind of insanity, but David has been almost doing JoJo exclusively since 2014, only taking on other projects like Planetarian and Monster Hunter adaptation while they were finishing off the second half of Diamond. So I'm excited to see them tackle more genres beyond the one that made them the most well-known. Plus, I'm a sucker for anything involving time travel, so I hope that I'm just not going to be disappointed. Recreators. This originally did not strike me on the outset as a show that I might be interested in. The synopsis wasn't that intriguing, and the art gave off this standard modern light novel fantasy vibe, which, don't get me wrong, can be good, but they have a tendency to be more meh than anything. Then, of course, I glanced at the staff list. It's being directed by A. Aoki of Fate Zero and Garden of Sinners Movie 1 fame. The music is being handled by Hiroyuki Sawano, who I think needs no real introduction after composing the score for every single hyped anime of its season, such as Attack on Titan, Kill la Kill, Guilty Crown, and Attack on Mononoke Bakano. Finally, the original story was written by Rei Hiroe, who is the original creator of Black Lagoon. Holy crap, please don't suck, 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 please don't suck. The biggest worry, though, is that it shares many of the team who worked on Aldnoah Zero, and that's a show that had several, well, problems with it, to put it lightly.
Deja vu, I just been in this place before. Higher on the street, and I know it's my time to go. Going new, and the search is a mystery. Standing on my feet, it's so hard when I try to be me. Whoa.
Problems that I hope we don't see resurface. Though I can hope that they won't, and everything will be fine, and Recreators will be in contention for best of season. Of course, it has to be better than his last directorial work, which I like to think will be the case. Maybe. We'll see. And finally, Sakura Quest. Now, some of you might look at this excitement that I have for this show and peg it down solely to me being a huge fan of Shirobako from 2015. Same studio, same character and animation designer, similar story of working women, except it's about a tourism agency instead of an anime studio. But this is not the only reason. Like, I would be lying if I said that wasn't a factor, but it's all that. Plus, the series is being directed by Soichi Masui. Why do I care about Soichi Masui? Because he directed Scrapped Princess, one of my favorite fantasy series from the early 2000s, and I want to see more of his work. I want to see him do this project in particular because I remember the cheerful banter between characters in Scrapped Princess. And if that kind of direction gets applied here, I think that the series will be a definite highlight for me. I like seeing shows with a very clear, definite, and achievable goal from the start, like a project or even a tournament. Something that can be done in a set amount of time. Mostly because I think this will push things towards a favorable conclusion instead of leaving things open. Sakura Quest has this feeling for me, so I have high hopes for it. As usual, I also hope and fully expect a series not on this list come out of the woodwork and surprise me. This list was only compiled on staff information and promotional materials, which may not be indicative of the final products. So, with luck, we'll have a season even better than what I am currently expecting it to be. Now, we have a lot of anime to watch, so let's get to it, shall we? Wait. I feel like there's an anime I'm missing. An anime that's also airing this season, but I can't... Shit. Can't remember what anime it is. I can't remember. Anyway, ladies, gentlemen, and others, stay frosty.